So, hello everyone, and today I'm in conversation with Eithne Knappitsch, who's joining us for the blog and our YouTube channel, and we're going to talk about virtual exchange within European alliances and other things. But before we get stuck in, Eithne, you wear many hats, so introduce yourself first for us.
Yes, so thank you very much, first of all, for the invitation. And I tend to wear many hats, as you say, always in between different worlds. I am a professor of intercultural management, so that is my main position at Carinthia University of Applied Sciences. So I'm a professor of intercultural management there at the business school, and I've been working there actually since about 2008, which is a long time. And in case many of you don't know, and I'm sure you don't, that Carinthia is in the southern part of Austria. So we're located here very close to the border with Italy and Slovenia. And I'm originally from the very north of Ireland at the border with Northern Ireland. So this is, I seem to sort of pick up these liminal spaces in between worlds, as well as being a professor of intercultural management. I also am a co-founder of the Global Case Study Challenge, which is basically a large-scale virtual exchange that I've been collaborating on for 9 years now with Barbara Covarrubias-Vedigas and Anna Zinenko. And that's really developed into, a yearly virtual exchange that we do globally. As well as that, we run training for educators, not only educators, but also any facilitators of virtual exchange, internationalization officers, etc. And we're involved in several capacity building projects at the minute with Armenian and Ukrainian universities and other things. Yeah, so those are, I would say, my two main roles. I'm also a board member for IVEC, the International Virtual Exchange Consortium. So I've been with IVEC for the past 2 years, and very happy to be doing that.
Mm-hmm. Well, welcome, and thank you for outlining everything that you do. Now, Eithne, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Perfect. Good. Yes, perfect.
Your mission says you help organizations build relational intelligence that turns collaboration into results. Now, we talk a lot about emotional intelligence. I hear less about relational intelligence. So can you outline what the difference is, please?
Well, thank you very much. And this is relational intelligence is not something I know that we hear very often. Working in the field of intercultural communication and intercultural dynamics, we hear a lot about emotional intelligence and things like empathy and contextual intelligence. And very often we sort of see them as the responsibility also of the individual. So we don't often talk about an organization's emotional intelligence at that sort of group and coordinated level. And for me, over the last over 20 years of doing my work virtually in virtual exchange, but also as an executive trainer in organizations and with the various cross-border projects that I've been working on. I have come to see, if you like, a little bit of a gap when we talk about, the idea of individual responsibilities around emotional intelligence and the impact that it can have in organizations. So I've expanded this idea to combine, if you like, emotional intelligence, also collaboration intelligence, and contextual intelligence. So I see relational intelligence as part of the responsibility of organizations at the level of coordinating spaces for the relationships that happen. So of course we can, have our own individual relational intelligence as well. But I also see it as something specifically that can be organized, designed for, and coordinated by organizations.
Thank you for that. Really helpful to know. Now, over the years, you've obviously used virtual exchange a lot. How has it evolved over all these years that you've been working with this pedagogy?
Well, I think when we started working with the Global Case Study Challenge, which was really the first virtual exchange that I was involved in, we didn't really have a name for it. And initially, it started out of an intention to design intercultural learning that was experience based and that was, real world related with a group of, let's say, more or less, homogenous students in a regional location. And previously, I had been involved with the Society for Intercultural Education, Training and Research. And we realized with a number of people who were practitioners, educators, trainers, that we were missing a link if we were simply, engaging in intercultural communication theories and, trying to do practical trainings with more or less homogenous, realizing there's diversity everywhere, but more or less homogenous sort of, same language, same context groups. And started off like that. And it was only later I identified and became familiar with the whole world of COIL and virtual exchange. So we sort of started doing it without realizing that there was
Many
a specific
people say that.
pedagogy. And that's, so it was a delight then to discover that there's this whole world that has been doing, very similar things with a very developed pedagogy for many years. So how I think it has developed, at least how I see it, is, initially it was very much associated with, linguistics, language learning,
yes.
telecollaboration, yeah. And I think it's really branched out to include much more diverse forms of learning and engagement. So I really see it as, one of the key advantages that I see in it is that, you can bring together this transdisciplinary or interdisciplinary approach and cover that it can be relevant in all cases. And I know of some wonderful virtual exchanges or COILs where completely different disciplines have come together. Yeah. So I see that as a major development. And maybe also from my particular perspective, working at a European University of Applied Sciences and being involved in a European alliance there, I see it as a a core pedagogy for alliances that are doing this, whether they're doing research or whether they're, they're more research heavy, or whether they're like the alliance I'm involved in and are very much engagement and practical and applied oriented. I think that the pedagogy itself lends itself brilliantly as a foundational pedagogy for alliances.
Yes, I wanted to move on to alliances actually, and I'm just wondering, is this pedagogy, because sometimes I know academics have come up against a bit of resistance in adopting this. What are you finding in alliances now? Is this pedagogy becoming more and more mainstream? Is it embraced? Is there support? How important is it within alliances?
I mean, I actually think it's not named as such, so it's not recognized. And I think in a lot of the work that takes place, let's say at the decision level in alliances, that the university management and maybe the people in international relations offices or new alliance offices are not always, conscious about the types of pedagogy that are being used. I know that I was involved in also designing some of the pedagogical programs of the alliance that I'm involved in, and I know all of that sort of the ideas and the core suggestions coming from me, at least, were based on my experience with virtual exchange and with COILs. So I think it's under recognized. I think
so
that
much extra work, isn't it? Really, it's a lot of work.
And and
unrecognized
many,
product.
exactly. And if we take, I mean, in contexts like many, Northern American universities will have, or at least had in the past, departments and
Yeah,
individuals
yeah, they do.
responsible
Yeah,
for promoting, for the design, for
exactly.
supporting everybody involved. And that at least I would say that there's very few really universities, University of Applied Science, that have the same in a
Mm.
European context. I know it's also, if I take some, examples from Japan and elsewhere, that there are also COIL departments and COIL people responsible
Yeah.
there. But yeah, but we lack that a little bit. And I think
Mm.
it's because it's not recognized. And as you say, it's a huge amount of work. So it's
Mm.
also quite difficult to encourage and persuade educators to do it, and not only educators. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm.
Before I let you go, I've spoken in a couple of my other interviews with, for example, Dr. Miriam Houck and Simone Hackett, Mark Dawson, and John Rubin about AI and virtual exchange. And it's nice to get some different perspectives. Some are more positive than others. Others think AI will destroy virtual exchange. What's your take, just as a final few words, on where we're going with AI within the context of virtual exchange?
Well, I take a very positive and optimistic approach to it, so I should maybe mention that first, um, because I think we have the same debates anyway across all universities in a similar way. Because the virtual exchange that I've been working on, the Global Case Study Challenge, is really designed. One pillar of it is around digital collaboration. As soon as we started introducing AI, we also started introducing the idea of, what that meant for our students across the globe who are collaborating. And we very intentionally then embedded it into the design of the program. So also that we have our students taking a conscious and a critical approach to how they're using it, because, from different contexts, we have different associations. We have some, problems with trust and responsibility and ethics. But in other contexts, we have, a great awareness about how to use it as an additional tool, as a support in a very ethical and intentional way. So this is one of the things that we try to build in, where we try to also get our students in their teams to have a conversation about, and to actually agree and decide on how they're using it, how it supports the work within the virtual exchange that we're running. And in addition to that, I do some collaboration with a colleague who is a digital business professor, and we've been writing a little bit and researching on how, how AI can also impact on the relational dynamics within virtual teams. So this is an area that I'm also interested in exploring more, because, depending on how we use it, it can support multilingual, multicultural contexts if we use it very critically and design it to also, approach conversations from a constructive intercultural perspective, where we're not, where we can actually design our AI support tools to really help, teams to think about how they can improve their dynamics, their, the relational dynamics between them. I think there's a huge opportunity for that, recognizing all of the different contexts and being aware that we have to be very careful in a European context, that it's very different to, a context in the Philippines or in Brazil, and that we have different regulations and safe holds. But I think there's many ways that it can support. It can support the learning. It can support the, the multilingual aspect. So maybe helping balance out some of those power dynamics a little bit that emerge through, language use and whatever's the predominant language of the virtual exchange. We can use it to be aware ethically of how we're, working together. It can add a new dimension to virtual exchange if we also have virtual exchanges that use things like, I don't know, special projects or agents, which is something that we tried to set up last year for the last edition of our virtual exchange. So I think there's lots of ways to see it, but I'm actually quite positive about it and interested in it, very curious.
Thank you, Eithne, for your time today. Brilliant.